right now at 10, a popular tourist area turned into the site of a terror attack as a van plows into people on a crowded street. The suspect still at large, and it wasn't the only attack in Spain today.
What's in a name? The effort to market a Santa Barbara neighborhood as the Lagoon District has some fearing the effects of gentrification.
And a Lompoc police dog is out of work now that marijuana is becoming legal in California. Why Hank is headed for an early retirement. 20 minutes of nonstop news and weather starts right now.
Now, with coverage from wherever you are, this is Fox 11 News, live at 10.
Is there anything else that might happen? Is it just everything is safe? We don't know if we should leave the area or stay here.
Fear and uncertainty on the streets of Barcelona tonight. Authorities are picking up the pieces after a deadly terror attack left bodies scattered on Spanish streets. It is our top story tonight. Good evening, I'm Scott Hennessy.
And I'm Melissa Mahan. At least 13 people were killed, 100 injured, including an American in that terror attack in Barcelona.
Earlier today, a van plowed through the crowd at a popular pedestrian shopping area. 2 suspects are under arrest, but the driver got away. Spanish police say they have killed 5 people south of the city in response to a second attack. Terry Okita is in Barcelona with the very latest.
Spanish police say they thwarted a second attack overnight in a resort town south of Barcelona. They shot and killed 5 suspects. That's after a van was used as a deadly weapon in Barcelona, mowing down pedestrians in the popular Las Ramblas district. People were out shopping, strolling, or dining at the time of the attack. Residents and tourists ran for safety, and nearby buildings were locked down.
We saw all these people, tourists running with bags, moms, kids, everybody trying to find some shelter in some of the buildings around.
Spanish authorities say the attack appears to be the work of a terror cell. Police have 2 men in custody, a Spanish national and a Moroccan, but they say neither is the driver of the van. American officials were swift to react.
The United States condemns this terror attack, and we will do whatever is necessary to help.
Police say the van swerved from side to side as it sped down this promenade, apparently trying to hit as many people as possible. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. ISIS has encouraged the use of vehicles as weapons of terror because the attacks are very difficult to prevent.
Any iconic sort of tourist landmark, any place where people gather, restaurants, squares, you can't protect all of them.
There are police checkpoints on roads leading in and out of Barcelona. Spanish officials have declared 3 days of mourning. Terry Okita, Barcelona.
The California marijuana boom may be bigger than anyone expected. There is no question our state is great for agriculture, but it might be too fertile. According to the executive director of the California Growers Association, California is growing far more marijuana than it consumes.
Our organization thinks it's probably right around 8 times as much.
Put another way, California produces 14 to 16 million tons of marijuana and consumes about 2 million. Many expect the demand to increase tenfold in the next year. State regulations for legal recreational marijuana are supposed to begin January 1st of next year. With sweeping marijuana changes comes changes for our local police. The Lompoc Police Department says they've got no other choice than to retire Hank.
Fox 11 Sean Larson met that police dog earlier, whose drug sniffing skills will no longer be needed. He's live for us outside of the Lompoc Police Department. Sean?
Scott, Melissa, that dog is retiring after 7 years with the force here. But police say that dog still has a couple more good years in him, but it's the reason why that dog is retiring that's raising eyebrows. The only thing this former narcotics detection dog is getting his paws on these days are Scooby snacks.
With Prop 64, we've seen some changes in California law as it applies to marijuana. Hank is one of the odors he's trained to alert on is marijuana.
Last year, Prop 64 passed, making the recreational use of marijuana legal.
With Hank's training being in marijuana, we felt like we couldn't use him the same way that we could prior to the change in the law.
That's because Hank is trained to pick up on the odor of several drugs, including heroin, meth, cocaine, and marijuana, which can be a liability for probable cause and search warrants.
If the detectives need the dog to do a sniff of an item, a car, a garage to help with their probable cause to get a search warrant, And if they're looking for one of the other odors, with cocaine, methamphetamine, or heroin, if your dog is only trained on that, then that is good probable cause to assist with the search warrant.
But Hank also alerts detectives if he smells marijuana, so this could mislead police into thinking they have probable cause. Sergeant Martin says it's unfortunate because Hank does still have a lot of police life in him, and recalled a time 2 years ago when Hank recovered a lot of money buried in the ground.
They were able to seize, I believe, about $300,000 in cash. Hank was a part of that search, and this specific drug dealer was burying the cash in the yards.
Martin says departments across California could end up having to retire dogs early because of Prop 64.
They're all facing this issue, and each department's going to have to make a determination on how they're going to deal with it.
In appreciation for Hank, they had a little potluck for him Thursday afternoon.
There were some doggy treats. We did a little barbecue hamburgers for the staff, and everybody brought a little something in.
Hank's retirement will be saving the department about $7,000 a year. He'll be living with his detective partner. Live in Lompoc, Sean Larson, Fox 11 News.
Thanks very much.
Well-deserved retirement.
Yeah. Some dogs are used to sniff out drugs and criminals, but one woman says they can also be trained to track a deadly disease. The Good Canine Academy in Oklahoma says the Insight 2 Foundation has trained more than 50 dogs for researchers to use in cancer detection studies.
They'll smell the healthy samples, and then they go along, and the minute that they smell the one with cancer, that's when they alert us.
Researchers say they hope the study will help in the detection of cancer, especially in the early stages. A neighborhood dispute is brewing over a name.
Yeah, it started online. Now both sides are sitting down to hammer out a solution. Fox 11's Tracy Laird joins us from the neighborhood in question in Santa Barbara tonight. Tracy?
Melissa, one definition of gentrification is to improve to conform to middle-class tastes, and some people are concerned that's what's happening here along Haley and Laguna Streets. Rather than protesting the rebranding of a portion of Santa Barbara's east side, a small group met over chips and dip at the Rose Cafe on Haley. At issue is a website promoting free membership to help market an area along Laguna Street that the site calls the Lagoon District.
And our whole thing is to shine light on the stories that don't typically get the social media, web, blog, mailing list love that they need and deserve.
Community organizers with Poder have questioned why it's Lagoon rather than Laguna.
Gentrification, since it's a complex issue, it's important that we have a conversation and to challenge it and don't let it just be rubber stamped.
Poder questioned a similar push along Milpas Street.
It just kind of has the same recipe and the same feelings to it. So I'm really concerned, and I really just care about my community.
An Iracom CEO isn't shying away from questions or comparisons.
I'm here to listen. We wanted to differentiate from the funk zone. We were kind of tired of this area being considered that same LA-based kind of gentrified whitewash thing.
A fashion designer down the street wants the area to stay industrial yet unique.
I think it's a really great thing that's happening here. It's a wonderful neighborhood, and I just hope it doesn't gentrify too much.
Our intention here is to really raise rising tide lifts all ships, and that includes especially the roots of the multi-generation businesses that have been here for so long.
This is likely to be the first of many meetings. And many people are concerned about rising rents. To learn more about the Lagoon District, check out thelagoondistrict.com. In Santa Barbara, Tracy Laird, Fox 11 News.
Thank you. Archaic and leaky oil wells at Summerlin Beach may no longer be a problem soon. The California Lands Commission voted unanimously to take critical steps towards cleaning up porous oil wells in the area. The first well slated to be cleaned is the Becker well, and that work is set for early next year depending on weather and tide conditions. In fact, Summerlin Beach is where the first offshore oil developments in the nation occurred.
Thinking about going to the beach this weekend here, one of the last of the summer before the kids head back to school.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful week so far. So, Alan, hopefully it's going to last throughout the weekend. How are things looking?
Well, it's looking good. We're actually going to warm things up. We saw that today. Friday, Saturday looks a little warmer than this afternoon. And then Sunday's going to be a little bit cooler, but that's okay. The kids go back to school in the Santa Barbara Unified School District on Monday. Santa Maria today, 74 degrees, 90 in Paso Robles. We saw 86 in Santa Ynez and 79 in Santa Barbara. Right now, Santa Maria is checking in at 59 degrees. Winds are out of the northwest at about 3 miles an hour. Humidity at 90%. Here's your current temps elsewhere. We have 60 in Lompoc, 61 degrees in Santa Ynez, still some 70s in Cuyama. And since it was warmer today, things are cooling down a little slower tonight, but still a fairly pleasant and comfortable night at this 10 o'clock hour. Much like last night at this time, not seeing a lot of marine layer just yet, but as we put the futurecast into motion, notice that the clouds and fog do redevelop by tomorrow morning. Now, this morning, there wasn't quite as much marine layer out there. In fact, Santa Barbara and the South Coast woke up to mostly sunny skies, a little bit of haze, but not that dense marine layer that we had seen earlier in the week. I think we transitioned back to a more widespread marine layer on Friday, but with high pressure building in whatever forms, burns off pretty quickly. So by the afternoon hours, things are looking bright and sunny. And if anything, on Friday, things should be a little bit warmer than what we saw this afternoon. Now, coming up in a few minutes, we'll have that Friday and weekend forecast for all of our cities and towns up and down the coast. And we'll have the latest eclipse forecast for Santa Barbara and Santa Maria during Fox 11 News at 10 tonight. For now, let's send things back to you.
All right, Alan, thank you. It's harvest time for some Santa Maria Valley wineries. A wet winter, 23 inches of rain helped the grapes. Fox and Vineyard and Winery says it grows only about a third of the grapes for the wine it produces. The rest is leased out to other vineyards. The winery received 11 tons of Pinot grapes today from Riverbench Vineyard. 1 ton makes 50 to 60 bottles of wine. The co-owner of Foxton tells us with all the rain this year, the vines are happy again.
We haven't had a lot of rain. We had 23 inches, which isn't, like they had up north. But it's been enough to refresh the roots, and happy roots make happy vines, and happy vines make great wine.
The grapes picked and processed today are expected to be ready to buy and drink in the fall of 2018.
Those loud bangs are driving neighbors crazy in Napa County, but they are legal. Farmers across Napa County use propane cannons to scare away birds during harvest season. It's becoming an issue that many can no longer ignore.
Cannons start up at about 6:30 a.m. every morning, 7 days a week. They go continuously for 12, 14 hours a day or more. Sometimes they're blasting all night long.
Wow, what a way to disrupt the peace there. They're doing it to save the grapes, though. Napa's agricultural commissioner says he's sympathetic to the complaints, but there's little he can do, considering the county passed the ordinance allowing them many years ago.
The South Fork fire in Yosemite has more than 200 crews bringing in trucks and air tankers to fight it. The fire has scorched more than 2,000 acres and is just a short distance from some of the park's hotels and cabins, and tourists are there as well. Several air units are tackling the fire from above. Some of the campgrounds are closed. The fire seems to be burning toward the wilderness away from the small community, but the area remains on pre-evacuation alert.
An update now on the Whittier fire in Santa Barbara County. Containment is still at 87%. It's been that way for quite a while now. The wildfire burned through more than 18,000 acres after it broke out July 8th near Cachuma Lake. Fire Command tells us that hot spots continue to pop up in some areas of the Los Padres National Forest, and multiple crews are monitoring the fire zone.
To a crime alert now. Police looking for a man involved in a hit and run in Santa Barbara this afternoon. Happened at De La Vina and Constance. Police believe an older man in a white Mercedes was tailgating another man on a motorcycle. For unknown reasons, the man in the Mercedes hit the motorcyclist, then took off. The guy on the motorcycle walked away with minor injuries, but his bike was damaged.
New developments in a suspicious death investigation in Cayucos. The man found dead in a Jeep has been identified. Police found a body in a Jeep parked on F Street Tuesday. The man has been identified today as 83-year-old Donald Cunningham, a transient from the Bakersfield area. 2 other transients and a 13-year-old girl were in the car when police discovered the body. The adults, also from Bakersfield, have been arrested for felony child endangerment. Results from the man's autopsy will come out in 6 to 8 weeks. A local post office is being renamed to honor a fallen Santa Barbara Navy SEAL. Tomorrow, the Victoria Court Post Office on State Street will be ceremoniously renamed Special Warfare Operator Master Chief Petty Officer SEAL Louis Lou J. Langlace Post Office Building. Congressman Salud Carbajal and former Representative Lois Capps will host the dedication, which starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Master Chief Langlace was born in Canada and raised in Santa Barbara before joining the Navy and serving for 25 years.
School began today across the Lucia Mar Unified School District in South San Luis Obispo County. Big changes are in store for Arroyo Grande High. At the top, there's a new principal, Arroyo Grande alum Dan Neff, who returns back to his alma mater after heading up 21st Century Learning with the district last year. The school also filling more than 10 open positions, including teachers, administrators, and a new athletic director. All the change comes after several notable retirements and key moves following last school year.
You can't fill that void, but it's also exciting in terms of even for myself coming in to work, to have new teams of people coming in and stepping in those positions. And
Fox 11 spoke with new ASB president Nathan Solis, who tells us his #1 goal is to increase school spirit and pride at the place long known affectionately as the Blue Zoo.
As the first day of school wrapped up, law enforcement agencies in the Lucia Mar School District had a stepped-up presence enforcing traffic safety laws in school zones. Pismo Beach Police had officers at local school sites to ensure the kids go back to school in a safe and orderly manner. A reminder, there is a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit in school zones when children are present. That is always the case. Fines for traffic violations in school zones can be steep, in the hundreds of dollars.
Well, everyone's gearing up for the big eclipse on Monday. So the big question is hoping that the weather's good.
Yeah, let's all do some hoping and maybe some clear blue sky dances instead of rain dances. You know, we'll trade it in because it is summer after all. You know, by the coast, it's not a guarantee. I still think we're going to see some clouds and fog. The exact hour-by-hour details, a little difficult to nail down about 3.5 days out, but we'll certainly keep a close eye on it. Kelsey Gerkins will have an update tomorrow morning. I'll have another update tomorrow night. Here's the very latest. Here's what I'm seeing tonight on this Thursday night. We'll start with Santa Maria. I'll do Santa Barbara in the next half hour. The eclipse begins here at 9:03 in the morning. Again, it's a partial eclipse in the Santa Maria area. Max eclipse time right after 10:15. And I'm still thinking it's going to be overcast, maybe a few breaks in the cloud cover by around 10:15. Better visibility by around 11:40 when the eclipse ends. But of course, by that time, we'll have missed most of the show. Regardless, even if it's mostly cloudy sky and you see a little bit of that sunshine, make sure you take the steps necessary to get the proper eyewear, the glasses, so that you can view the eclipse and not do any damage to your eye. So from space weather to weather a little closer to here on planet Earth, you probably know if you watch Fox 11 News at 10 pretty regularly. I'm a big skier. I love heading up to Mammoth and Tahoe. And Tom Stocka sent me this photo. Mammoth in August. This one was taken just about 2 weeks ago when Tom was vacationing there. And it's unbelievable to see the blue sky with still some snow out there on the mountains. Now, the Mammoth has finally closed for the season, but is expected to open back up in early November. Trust me, I'm already thinking about it. Santa Maria today, 74 degrees, 90 in Paso Robles, 86 in Santa Ynez, and 79 in Santa Barbara. Temperatures now back down to the 50s and 60s in most spots. Now, today didn't see quite the widespread marine layer that we had seen earlier in the week. I think it's a little more widespread tomorrow morning. So areas of clouds and fog, afternoon sunshine, and further warming. We'll even see more 90s, I think, for the valleys. And by the coast, a mix of 60s, 70s, and 80s. Take a look at the futurecast. You can see the marine layer filling in overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. Should give way to sunshine, though, by Friday afternoon, so things are looking nice and sunny to end the day. Saturday morning, we're back to clouds and fog. If you're heading out for maybe an early morning jog or heading out to your local farmer's market Saturday morning, keep in mind, could be a bit gray, but by the tennis game or golf game later in the day, things are looking good. Saturday night, still some clouds lingering by the coast. Now, the warmest days are ahead Friday into Saturday. By Sunday, Monday, this deepening trough of low pressure moves towards the west coast, and that'll cool things down. It's also going to bring back a slower clearing pattern, and that's why I'm thinking Monday might not be the best visibility to view that partial eclipse. Now, inland, it should be pretty good, but by the coast, coastal plains, beaches, at this point looking pretty great. 88 degrees in Santa Ynez, 75 as we end the week, warmer in Santa Maria than how it started. 65 in Morro Bay, 80 in SLO. Topping out at 93 in Paso Robles. So many areas finally near average, even a little bit above it for the South Coast. But do we stay there? Santa Maria 7-day forecast hovering right around 75 degrees on both Friday and Saturday. And then we drop down about 5 degrees or so Sunday, Monday with highs in the low 70s. Santa Barbara 7-day, great beach weather for the final few days of freedom for some of the kids here in the South Coast. And then temps drop about 5 degrees as well for the South Coast. Santa Ynez Valley will get in on the cool down by Sunday as temps cool down to the low 80s. Paso Robles, we have some hot numbers Friday, Saturday, and then we knock things down about 8 degrees. So bigger cool down for the valleys than the coast. And, you know, with the cool down does come the clouds. So it's pleasant next week. Just the question still is, what does that fickle marine layer do? And it can be quite fickle.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we know.
Yeah, forecasting it sometimes even the night before. Thursday night to Friday morning can be tricky. So 3 days out, there's still some time to see how things develop and keep a close eye on it.
Keep good thoughts, hopefully.
Yes. That's 20 minutes of nonstop news and weather to begin tonight's hour-long newscast. Still ahead, the Central Coast standing up for the Carrizo Plains.
Zeke, who are you working for? Too late.
How this group plans to stop the Trump administration's National Monument Review.
Thieves targeting people who are out of town. How a Good Samaritan thwarted this Department of Water and Power imposter.
We need the community to come together and help us.
And a cornerstone of the Shell Beach community is reaching out why the Chapman estate is in need of your help.
Melissa Mahan, Scott Hennessy, Chief Meteorologist Alan Rose, and Mike Clan Sports.
A man in the right place at the right time receiving many thanks today after stopping an imposter from robbing a Southern California home. Security video shows the thief posing as a member of the Department of Water and Power in North Hollywood. The homeowner out of town, but answered the imposter's knock using his cell phone, which is connected to his doorbell. Fooled by the service truck you see here, he allowed the con man onto his property, but luckily a vigilant construction worker was keeping a close eye.
We went to the window. There's a stairwell down there, and there's a window, and I saw him like scoping out the window.
Well, Shane there called the police. The suspect was arrested. Officials say avoid becoming a victim. You want to check to see if there's any routine maintenance going on in your area before letting anyone into your property. To a health alert now, a new study is shedding some light on America's drinking habits, and the results are not great. A study published in JAMA Psychiatry tracked drinking patterns among 40,000 people during 2002 and 2003, then again in 2013 and 2014. They found during that time alcohol use disorders rose by almost 50%. Researchers estimate 30 million people in the U.S. struggle with an alcohol use disorder. That is 1 out of every 8 Americans.
A driver facing DUI charges was airlifted to a trauma center this week after flipping his vehicle on a California highway. The 57-year-old driver ran over a sign reading "Report drunk drivers, call 911" during the crash. Police say he may not have survived if he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. One officer described him as quite intoxicated.
A fiery crash on a Kansas highway caught on camera. Check this out. Ooh. Wow, the driver of the semi-truck struck the barrier which separates 2 highways. Many motorists pulled over to help that driver escape from his truck. The cause of that accident under investigation.
Difficult to follow this guy doing donuts now.
Port of Los Angeles is reviewing its security procedures after a man fleeing police got into a supposedly secure part of the port. It was a wild chase that ended after the driver blew through 2 guard gates, jumped out with the car still running, and scaled a crane.
Can you imagine if the car had multiple bombs in it, or if he was strapped with bombs? In today's security climate, we should not have that worry.
Tragically, the man police were chasing fell to his death. A full investigation into all circumstances regarding the security breach is now being conducted by the LAPD. More to come on Fox 11 News tonight. Many American communities are voting to remove Confederate monuments, but President Trump is coming out against it, calling it foolish.
Plus, a cliffside estate that's been part of the Shell Beach community for years is in need of repairs. How you can help out. Stay with us.
Fox 11, the #1 local news at 10.
Mr. President, be our leader. And if you can't, get the hell out of that office.
Democratic Congressman John Garamendi delivering that message to President Trump at a unity rally in Davis, California, for not clearly denouncing hate. Hundreds of residents joined the congressman and gathered together to take a stand against hate.
Justice, mighty, mighty justice.
Protesters in North Carolina calling on officials to drop the charges against 4 people accused of vandalizing a Confederate statue Monday. The suspects face misdemeanor and felony charges. Durham County Sheriff Mike Andrews said, quote, "No one is getting away with this. It is illegal to vandalize or destroy public monuments, even the Confederate monuments."
Meanwhile, in Phoenix, Arizona, police are searching for the suspects who defaced a Confederate monument with spray paint. This is just one of the many examples of vandalism of Confederate monuments across the country. While many American communities are voting to remove Confederate monuments, President Trump is staunchly against it. Today, he tweeted, "Sad to see the history and culture of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments. You can't change history, but you can learn from it. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, who's next? Washington, Jefferson, so foolish," the president tweeted. And while some governors disagree, others are siding with the president.
It's time for these monuments to come down. It's time for us to move together after what happened in Charlottesville.
It's not my desire or mission to tear down any monuments or memorials.
Many monuments paying tribute to the Confederacy have already been taken down in San Diego, Los Angeles, and Baltimore, Maryland.
According to the president's chief strategist, Steve Bannon, inciting racial tension can be politically useful. Just days ago, Bannon appeared to be on the verge of being fired. In a series of interviews, he dismissed the far right as, quote, clowns, but said, if the left is focused on race and identity, we can crush the Democrats. Well, here at home, protesters are worried about a Trump administration review of all national monuments. That includes the Carrizo Plain in San Luis Obispo County.
Local protesters targeting Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke, the man in charge.
1, 2, 3, 4. Zinke, who are you working for?
The Trump administration is looking into 27 national monuments created or expanded in the last 20 years. The president believes they are either too large or were created without adequate public input. The list includes 6 monuments in California, the nearest one being the Carrizo Plains in San Luis Obispo County. A group of people against the president's order rallied in Goleta this afternoon.
If we stay silent, then the leaders feel like they are free to implement policies that we may not agree with. So even though our group may be small here, 20 to 30 people, we believe that being here, we represent hundreds.
The group wants national monuments on the list to be protected so future generations can enjoy them as they are. They are concerned the lands will be turned into developments for profit.
President Trump is said to be ready to wipe out another Obama-era regulation that provided birth control to working men and women. It's the Affordable Care Act's most controversial policy, the so-called contraception mandate. It required employers to provide birth control coverage to their workers with no out-of-pocket costs. It's a move with plenty of pro-life support and just as much pro-choice pushback.
This is the ability of people to enter into the marketplace, enter into public policy, enter into education, or wherever they go, and do so guided by their faith, not having to check their faith at the door.
We are all readying ourselves for a big fight on this. It's basic and life-saving health care, and we should be doing everything we can to make it more affordable and accessible for women.
According to a draft of the new regulation, not only will religiously affiliated hospitals, schools, and businesses be allowed to opt out of providing contraception, but any employer with religious or moral objections will now be eligible for an exemption.
A consumer alert now. In San Luis Obispo County, home sales are down and prices are up. SLO County median home price is about $40,000 more compared to a year ago. And overall home sales, which include resales, single-family houses, new houses, and condos, they have been steadily declining for the past 3 months. $1 million property with a priceless view. The Chapman Estate, sitting cliffside in Shell Beach, has been a part of the community for nearly a century.
But now, as Fox 11's Michael Coliani tells us, the estate is asking for the community's help.
It's like a magical situation here. It just is the most beautiful piece of property I think I've ever seen.
As a state board member, Lyndon Schaefer shows us around the Chapman Estate property. His eyes light up.
It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of property.
The first home on the site was built in 1914 before the Tudor mansion was built in 1930. After buying the property in 1962, Marshall's jewelry store owner Clifford Chapman and his longtime partner Don Scheidel lived here together for nearly 50 years. The two held parties and fundraisers constantly, helping nonprofits stay afloat across SLO County. Complete with a lighthouse, lush gardens, and even a windmill and swimming pool, stepping onto the grounds is like a trip back in time.
It's a real beautiful piece of the culture of this area.
The city of Pismo Beach now owns the property, but Chapman's longtime partner still lives in the home. Now, those who work and volunteer at the Chapman Estate like to say that the property is worth millions, but the view is priceless.
So we need the community to come together and help us.
The view might be priceless, but maintaining this seaside historic home is not. The Chapman Estate Foundation needs help fixing up the property, particularly the windmill and other defining features.
We get visitors from all over the world here, and they love it.
Volunteers are needed to tend the gardens, become docents, and spread the word of this historic site.
There's a lot of opportunities to volunteer, come up here and get involved and have a great time.
This isn't just for Shell Beach, Pismo Beach, it's for the entire community.
Michael Coliani, Fox 11 News.
The estate is currently open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 1 and Friday evenings. You can learn more about how you can volunteer there or donate by visiting our website, myfox11.com. Still ahead tonight, the upcoming solar eclipse is generating big bucks for many businesses, but there's one moneymaker that you probably have not thought of.
Plus another hack, this time is Game of Thrones, what HBO is saying about it.
HBO says it is investigating another hack. The target, Game of Thrones. The entertainment giant's Twitter and Facebook accounts were compromised overnight by a group that calls itself Our Mind. In recent years, it has taken over media accounts of Netflix, Marvel, and Google. It's one of many hacks targeting high-profile intellectual property over the past few years.
This entire situation of a big corporate entity going back and forth with hackers is something you would see on an HBO show. These are high-profile targets, and hackers know they can get attention if they go after them.
A video ransom note was sent to HBO threatening to release unreleased property. HBO dismissed the threats as a game to generate media attention.
Well, no matter what class an instructor is teaching Monday morning, they'll have a chance to explain the solar eclipse to their students. Astronomy instructors helped out with the presentation today at Santa Barbara City College. School will also have telescopes set up for viewing, and advanced students helping out those who want to take a look. Even though it can be viewed on the internet and other sources, seeing it in real time with your own eyes is a moment that cannot be duplicated.
The big deal is that it's real. The big deal is that they're looking through telescope themselves and experiencing it in real time. And there's a quality, a specialness about that that can never be replaced.
I'm going to come and talk to my students and get them to come over here and look at the telescope and not look at the sun, but actually experience this phenomenon. So.
The event begins at 9:04 Monday morning. The height of the eclipse will be just after 10 o'clock. The whole event will last for about 2 hours and 40 minutes.
The Santa Maria Valley Discovery Museum is hosting an eclipse viewing party at 9:30 in the morning Monday. There will be a short safety presentation. Then you can head out to the parking lot to watch the eclipse. The museum will stay open until noon with eclipse-themed crafts. The event is free for members, or the price of admission, $6 for non-members.
The rare total solar eclipse this Monday not only generating buzz, but also generating big bucks. The obvious money makers are the eclipse glasses, airfare, hotels, car rentals, and souvenirs. Even the post office is cashing in on solar stamps. But here's one you may not have thought of: weddings. Many venues are overbooking, and now they're offering to do mass weddings.
They're going to say their vows all at one time, and we hope to finish right at the exact time of the eclipse.
Many couples probably hoping for a stellar wedding photo, but they may have to share it with many others thinking the same thing. There you go. Didn't think of that. Well, coming up on Fox 11 News at 10, the Lompoc Fire Department has a few new additions.
We will introduce you to the adorable honorary members next.
And with more sunshine, temperatures began to warm today, and we're going to continue that trend Friday and through the weekend. Stay tuned. I'll have your full forecast when we come back.
The Lompoc Fire Department has 4 new honorary members this week.
They welcomed the troop with an impromptu photo shoot. 4 young infants there, each of them lying on their parents' fire jackets, surrounded by some neatly arranged equipment. You can see 2 of the firefighters' names, Ochoa and Herrera. Congratulations to the Lompoc firefighters and their new family members.
How cute is that? They're so tiny.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Very cute.
And we appreciate all the firefighters do.
Indeed.
Can never say that enough.
Yeah, they've been busy this summer,
They
not
have.
only here, but across the state.
Right.
And then,
Yep.
wildfires simmered down a little bit here. I hate to even say that. I know.
I know.
Knock on wood. But the good news is with the forecast, there's not a lot of heat, not a lot of wind, not a lot of monsoon thunderstorms, so no dry lightning threat. So really more pleasant, lovely weather ahead in the forecast. And the only thing we're really keeping a close eye on is the eclipse.
Yeah.
Keep it clear.
Yeah, keep it clear. That's the idea. And I did focus in on Santa Maria in the first half hour. As promised, here's the forecast in Santa Barbara. It doesn't look a whole lot different than Santa Maria. The only difference here is it'll probably be a little bit warmer. The max eclipse time a little bit later in the morning, just by a few minutes. And I'm still thinking it'll be overcast to mostly cloudy around 10:18. And then probably a little bit of a decrease in the cloud cover for us as we head towards noon. But by then, might be a little bit too late. Now, again, the exact specifics with that hour-by-hour forecast, a little difficult to pinpoint this far out, but we'll certainly keep an eye on that for you and update you with changes over the next several days. Right now, 63 degrees in Santa Barbara. Calm wind out there. Really a nice and pleasantly cool night up and down the coast. 59 in Santa Ynez. Santa Maria now down to 59. AG's at 58, 64 in Atascadero, and 60 in Morro Bay. Not much marine layer by the coast just yet, but I think it does fill in relatively well tonight. In fact, didn't see much of it this morning, but I'm expecting a little more of a more widespread marine layer by Friday morning. The good news here is that it'll clear away pretty quickly, so we will see some warmer temperatures. Otherwise, fairly quiet out there with high pressure in control for the next couple of days. We are warming things up for you in your forecast Friday, Saturday. And then this trough of low pressure, this is going to move down the coast as we head towards Sunday and early next week. And it's going to cool things down. It's going to deepen the marine layer and therefore causes that more stubborn clearing pattern. So clouds and fog clear a little bit later into the afternoon than what we'll see over the next few days. And that's why we're thinking maybe Monday during the eclipse, viewing by the coast might not be that great, but farther inland should be okay. So just plan accordingly. If you really want to see it, and I think we all should take advantage of it, definitely head inland and find a location that's clear. Tomorrow morning, areas of clouds and fog, plenty of sunshine for the afternoon hours. Just a cloudy forecast for Saturday morning as well, followed by that sun once the marine layer breaks out and the sun comes shining on through. So some nice afternoons, but still a little bit gray in the morning. Temperatures are warming up, though. 77 in Orcutt, 88 in Santa Ynez tomorrow, 80 in Slow, and 93 in Paso Robles. Looks like we end the work week warmer than how things started, with 80 in Santa Barbara and 75 in Goleta. Santa Maria, here's your 7-day forecast. 75 apiece Friday and Saturday. Really tough to beat that this time of the year. And then dropping down Sunday, Monday with highs in the low 70s. A little bit of a slow and steady warm up to follow by late next week. San Luis Obispo, 80 here on Friday and Saturday. That's pretty close to average, dropping about 5 degrees Sunday into early next week. Lompoc area, fantastic Friday. Morning gray, but afternoon sun. 70s through Saturday, and a few days down to the upper 60s. For the 5 cities, we'll see mid to upper 60s here pretty much throughout the next 7 days. Not a whole lot of change for the 5 cities area, as we'll again sort of be dominated by this marine layer pattern. And Monday there in Pismo, probably going to be pretty gray during the eclipse. Inlet areas, probably a little better, as I mentioned, but it's something that can change, and if it does, we will let you know about it.
It's too bad the eclipse isn't happening at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Where we'd have a much more likely chance of seeing it.
Perfect. 95% of us will be able to see it. In the morning, it is a little trickier. That's true.
All right. Thanks, Alan.
Next in sports tonight on Fox 11 News at 10, behind more than 20 seasoned seniors, Bishop Diego football is expecting another strong season. Mike Clan has a season preview next.
And NBA champion Kevin Durant is honored in his hometown, but says he will not take part in any celebration at the White House. Sports is next.
Older, wiser, and better. Bishop Diego football has an experienced team which has had plenty of success in the past. They expect that to continue this season. More than 20 of the 35 varsity players are seniors, and several of them have started on varsity since their sophomore year. The best of the bunch is John Harris, who is the top running back in the Santa Barbara area. He's being courted by several Ivy League schools and others such as UC Davis. But there's plenty of talent around Harris, such as Evan McKeegan. He had a terrific junior year when healthy. Will Goodwin is solid at tight end and linebacker, and Isaiah Veal returns. The speedster Veal just recovered from a lengthy injury and will play receiver and defensive back. Cards have two options at quarterback, David Gladish and Jake Engel. Their line on both sides of the ball is bigger than usual. Add it all up, and these Cardinals could soar in 2017.
This group is kind of special to us because of the fact that there's so many seniors and so many guys have been with the program for a long time. So I think we're all excited about the season.
And this is the year to do it. You know, we all like bonded together over the 4 years, so now we're ready to just show out on the field.
20-plus seniors with a lot of experience. You know, I think we had six to eight starter sophomores when my sophomore year. So we've got a lot of experience, a lot of guys who know the game pretty well and who've been here for a while. So it's a good set of guys.
And the Cardinals open up the season next Friday at home against Desert Pines of Las Vegas, 7:30 kickoff at Santa Barbara City College. Week 2 of the NFL preseason getting started with 3 games tonight in Miami. Quarterback Jay Cutler making his Dolphins debut. He was 3 for 6 for 24 yards. Miami struggled on special teams, lost to Baltimore 31-7. In Jacksonville, Tampa Bay's Jameis Winston looked good. The Bucs quarterback was 21 of 29 for just under 200 yards. Didn't result in many points. They did win 12-8. And in Philadelphia, it was a poor performance by Buffalo quarterback Tyrod Taylor. He was picked off twice, this one by his former Bills teammate Ronald Darby. Taylor completed just 8 of 18 passes. They lost to the Eagles 20-16. Bills haven't made the playoffs since 1999. Don't expect that to change this season. NBA Finals most valuable player Kevin Durant was honored in his hometown of Seat Pleasant, Maryland with a parade. Durant and the Warriors won the NBA championship in June. At today's event, Durant said that he would not visit President Trump at the White House if the Warriors are invited. Durant said, quote, "I don't respect who's in office right now," end quote. Dodgers and Angels had the night off. That's sports. Your local news continues next at 11 on KCOY 12 and News Channel 3.